Good morning, everyone. Please type in I see you in the chat if you can see me. My name is Coach Reef. I'm your host for this webinar. I am about to welcome you three amazing people in my life, maybe even yours too. Can you all hear me? Please type in I see you. Also, I hear you. Thank you. I see and hear you. You know what? I actually asked that because, sometimes I need that kind of validation as well. Not just technically, but sometimes, actually, all of the time. We all need that kind of validation for our lives, right? As we go through the days, our days that misalign us all throughout. And so, to give you guys an idea of what's happening here, thank you, by the way, for coming. I have a few questions for you because that is what we aim to answer here. How many of you want more energy in your life? However you perceive energy, how many of you want more energy in your life? Please type me or any kind, maybe an exclamation mark, maybe yes, something like that. Please type it in, type yes if you want more energy in your life. The great kind of energy, an excited kind of energy, maybe even some awe energy. Thank you so much. We set this webinar up for you and also for free because the problem is people are not able to unlock full energy every day. It can be the typical ones that misalign us, like stress or just experiences that we perceive as negative or bad. But there is a way to actually train these things because no one is immune to stress. No one is immune to all these negative experiences, but overwhelm is trainable. And that is why we wanted to get real. We wanted to say, okay, no more bullshit. Let's make a no bullshit webinar and share the people how to unlock their energy every day, how to keep them high performing, how to keep you guys in grateful states, in gratitude state, which is very, very powerful, and not use gratefulness as a mask. Because a lot of people have been doing that, and we will learn more as we go. The three people that I'm going to be introducing to you, first and foremost, would be Spider, second would be Martin, and then lastly would be Mark. For Spider, as I introduce this amazing human being, actually, before I do that, does any one of you know who Spider is? Do you know if that's his real name? Please type in the chat box. It is. Spider says it himself. Thank you. Thank you. It is Spider. Yeah, I know. I was just checking it if they knew. Okay. Guys, I hope this man that I will just be introducing to you, as he will teach you breathwork, he will teach you optimal breathing practices, how to breathe for the rest of your life, how to breathe 24/7 for when you're stressed, for when you're about to sleep, you name it. He will also accommodate whatever needs you would have. So feel free. Our chat box is our safe space for you to voice out, quote unquote, for you to type in whatever you need. And the teachers are here giving you no bullshit value of how to keep yourself well. Introducing our first person, our first coach for this morning, giving us a wonderful Saturday morning, preparing us for an amazing lunch later. Guys, please welcome Coach Spider. He has been an amazing human being in my life, and he has been, oh my gosh, this amazing guy with undeniable lifestyle habits. You can see from his social media, not just that, both his highlights and the lowlights of me being a friend to him as well. Even in his lowlights, he uses his weaknesses, shares it to us to make it as a strength. And I know that that is his intention. And from there, I respect him immediately because of that. And that makes him immediately distinct from all the other people that I know. Spider, How are you? Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Reef. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I
Amazing,
one of
Mike.
my one of the that's the producer back there. She's the one, you got the background right there. That's her.
Support,
Anyhow,
yes. Yeah.
yep. I just wanted to let that be known. She's the one that's been, helping me out, and I'm very grateful for that. But like you mentioned, like one of the weaknesses that I have, right? I always like voicing out my weaknesses, and like you said, is receiving compliments. So you kind of creating that introduction, I'm going to lean in to that discomfort and just say thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Spider. Before I let you start and give and start teaching the people who have participated here, I just wanted to ask you if you could give us one strength, one weakness, and how do you think are they now like in relationship with each other? Just that.
Great question. All right, weakness. Okay, so my weakness right now, or has always been my weakness, is my fear of putting myself out there. I want to actually let it be known that, like, right now, as we go through this process of this webinar and, the Sagara and doing all this, like, it constantly gives me fear and anxiety. But like I said, I feel like I don't have I'm still building that belief in myself, but the people around me have been so amazing in encouraging me. So I feel like I need to, kind of believe in myself more because the people around me keep on, like yourself and Mark and everyone, Teacher Nas, are pushing me to do this. So as uncomfortable as it is, and as fearful as I am, I'm gonna do it, So here I am.
Amazing.
That's weakness. That's fear or weakness number one.
Uh-huh.
And I think my strength is, um, how does it work together? Possibly my ability to adapt, right? I think it comes from my background as an athlete. And as an
Mm.
athlete, you have to be able to kind of, all right, you missed a shot or this didn't work out. You have to kind of come down to the foundation of it and see like how did the adjustment. So, the adaptation and the adjustment is something that I can tie into the weakness and the strength. It's just about harnessing it and creating a synergy of it together.
That's amazing, brother. Thank you for sharing that. As we say, I asked you those questions, and I know we've been backstage quite a while, but I asked you these questions because I want to prove to people how what kind of no bullshit are we talking about here, and it's that it's vulnerability and sharing it to people and transforming it if and being honest, being so authentic that if you cannot do it on your own and you acknowledge that you need help, then you ask it. So I acknowledge you for that and I honor you for that, brother. Thank you so much. Please take it away. Give us an idea
Thank
of
you.
what you're gonna teach and our take homes
All
for
right.
attending this webinar. Thank you, Coach Spider.
Lovely, brother. Thank
I
you for
love you
that
too.
again. Thank you for that induction. All right. Sorry. Let me just create a little bit of space, both internally and externally. Thank you. All right. So, like, two things we're going to be focusing on today. The down regulatory breath and just like some seated poses that can help open up the body. And I mean, a lot of us have these maladaptive mechanisms that we do, like sitting down, chronic compressed state of flexion, right? And that creates different imbalances in the body. So uh, I'll be teaching a seated movement practice on top of the breath that we're supposed to be using. So I'll start with the breath. All right. The chat is open. So if something's not clear, please go ahead and put it in the chat and we can adjust and adapt to that. So give me 1 second. And All right. So let's start with our slow down regulatory breath. All right. So I want you, if you're seated down, just sit down, right? I want you to balance out on your sit bones, extend from the crown of the head. All right. And I want you to start to breathe. When we say deep breath, I want to change deep breath into a slow breath, right? Where do we bring the breath? We're bringing it in through the nose, a slow and relaxed inhale through the nose, and a slow and relaxed exhale through the nose, right? Try to find your own natural cadence through the breath, and it may vary from person to person, and that's completely fine. So you'll notice as we slow the breath down, maybe you feel a little bit of air hunger, but just allow yourself to play around with that. So while we're in this breath, this slow down regulatory nasal breath, right? I want you to maybe focus on lengthening the exhalation, knowing the what I call biological levers is very important. The exhalation is one of these biological levers where when we focus on the exhale, it's kind of like taking the gas or the foot off the gas of your nervous system or your body. So just staying here a couple of breaths. All right, so keeping this slow, slow pace of breath. All right, I want you to take the heels. All right, so I want you to take the heels of the hand. All right, the heels of your hand, and I want you to place them on the crease of the hip. So it's around here, right here, the crease of the hip while you're seated. Okay, and I want you to push down. So essentially, we're trying to create a lengthening in the spine. We're also trying to move into that hinge. Since a lot of us are always in a chronic state of flexion like this, right? Usually the next best pose is the opposite pose. So we're trying to create a little bit more extension in the body, kind of moving into a bit of a hinge. Again, pushing down on the heels to create that lengthening in the spine, extending from the crown of the head. Now from here, I want you to kind of press down. As you're pressing down, you're kind of moving side to side. Think about it for the yoga practitioners. Think about it like a walking the dog from a downward dog while we're seated, right? So you're creating length from the side of the body, all right? And really making sure that the chest is neutral and the rib cage isn't flaring out. And noticing when you breathe in through your nose, light, slow, the deep happens naturally. And it happens more so in the middle of the torso, right? Imagine the heels of the hand are still on the crease of the hips, all right? Start to push down, right? I want you to release and imagine that the heels are still there pushing down, creating a sense of grounding on the pelvis. I want you to take both the hands, place them on the rib cage, right? Just the bottom part of the rib cage. And I want you to think about broadening the collarbones and lifting the rib cage up. It's hovering over the pelvis. Be mindful of the rib cage flaring out, right? Again, thinking about continuing to keep the breath steady and also continue to keep the chest neutral. You'll notice that the breath comes more into a natural uh, lateral movement from there, more so from the middle of the body. The more silent, the more slow, the better. So think about that, continue that movement. And I want you to take both the thumbs, place them on the inside of the armpits. I actually have a hard time with this, right? I'm quite tight in my upper back, right? If this is already hard from you, that's completely fine. All right. Try to just think about bringing the thumb on the middle of the armpits, pressing in. And then if you can, bring the elbows as close to the body as you can. Again, being mindful of the rib cage flaring, right? Not creating any creases on the neck and extending from the crown of the head while trying to keep this breath steady. Keep this breath slow. All right. From here, I want you to release the thumbs. We're going to bring the arms up, right? I want you to imagine that you have cups. You're holding cups up, all right? As you bring the arms up, right? You're holding cups and you're trying to focus on externally rotating, all right? Relaxing the shoulders away from the neck and ears. Again, being mindful of the rib cage flaring out. Thinking about grounding on the pelvis, on the sit bones, imagining that you're being pressed down by the heels of the hand on the crease while lifting up the rib cage. Last couple of breaths here. Maybe moving side to side, front to back, just exploring that movement, that hinge pattern. And exhale, releasing down. All right, just staying here, just a couple of more moments, coming back into that breath. Again, we're thinking LSD, light, silent, and deep. The more subtle the breath, the better. And again, if you feel a little bit of air hunger, just play around with that. That's your body adapting to a stimulus that we're trying to create in the body through this type of breath. Yes, light, silent, and deep. If you start to experience a little bit of a buildup of saliva in the mouth, that's your body telling you that you have moved into a more relaxed parasympathetic state, right? What that means is you're not upregulated or in a fight or flight, you're more in a rest and digest state. All right, cool. All right, all right. So finishing up, how did everyone feel after that exercise? Any takeaways that you were able to experience? Anyone? That's what we want. Lovely, Martin. Relaxed and good, right? Ready to prime ourselves for a good lunch, right? Everyone's ready for that. That's what I'm doing as well. Yeah. All right, cool. So, just to talk about okay, like we've said, I have weaknesses, a lot of weaknesses, and I like kind of voicing that out. But one of my weaknesses is I kind of have a hard time talking about myself. So let's see how I can move through and adapt to that. All right. So hello, my name is hello, teacher Marissa. Good to see you. Long time. Um, so my name is Joshua David Spider Webb. I have multiple names. Choose which one you know me from different life, from where you've met me, different chapters. Uh, but yeah, you guys can call me Coach Spider, right? I feel like that's like my yoga persona for the multiple personalities that I have. So, just a little bit of a background of how I came into the background, my background in wellness and how I got to this, right? I used to be a professional basketball player, played basketball pretty much my entire life. But as I was telling my fellow coaches, as an athlete, I don't think it's automatic that you have discipline, right? And that was one thing that discipline that I lacked as an athlete. I didn't take care of my body. I didn't take care of my mental state, and it showed in my time as an athlete. So I moved into a lot of different distractions as an athlete. I never really was a professional about it. I didn't respect my craft, and essentially, it led me to being um, kicked out of the profession I was in, the PBA at the time. And I was able to thankfully find yoga. And the funny thing is, as an athlete at that time, I used to laugh at people being like, ha, yoga, isn't that for chicks, And I look back at it now, it's a practice that I do every day. So it's just funny the irony of where it's taken me and how I'm sharing it now. So, it was a practice of uh structure and discipline that I needed and was able to cultivate. And now here I am sharing it to everyone. And it's a process of each and every day of me learning and optimizing my own practice and just trying to share it with people, whether it is through yoga, whether it is through biohacking, right? I love talking about certain things that can always optimize our experience, right? And allow us to control what I call our biological levers. So, and yeah, I'm just here to share authentically where I'm coming from and what has helped me. And if it's able to resonate and add value to any of your practices, then I'm very happy to do that. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm able to kind of help bring to the table here. And I'm very excited to speak to anyone that has any questions about this or is interested in it. So, yeah. Anyone have any questions? Anyone have any concerns?
Coach, that was amazing.
Thank you,
I
sir.
just want to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
So, guys, if you saw my notes chatting, that was my job to like support anyone who was talking, but I didn't want to let this practice, even though I've done down regulation techniques before. It always is worth it to do. Just like when you
Always.
cool down with every time you do a sport, right, coach?
Oh,
Like when you play, and then
bro. No.
especially for us
For-
men, a lot of
Yeah.
our teammates forget to like cool down and stretch and all. They
Mm,
just head to the
So
showers and
necessary. So necessary. Like I get to coach college kids.
okay,
Uh, and Uh, So a lot of times what I'll have them do, right? Because what happens is after you work out, it's kind of like you're still in an upregulated state, and then you don't realize you carry that on over to when you sleep, and then your sleep is compromised and becomes a feedback, and then you start to kind of be compromised even through the
correct,
next day. So what I have them do is I have them put their legs up on a wall, have them sit there for 5 minutes,
mm,
right? And then just focus on that exhale, the foot off the gas. And it was the first time they did it a couple of weeks back, and they all looked at me like, yo, I feel so light after. What did you do, coach? I'm like, simple, right? And some of the best exercises are the most simple ones. So it's just, yeah, it's amazing to be able to share that.
amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Coach Spider.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Guys, as I move on to the next person, let's give some gratitude to Coach Spider in the chat. Say thank you, say I'm grateful, or I don't know, what did you learn? Please type it in the chat box. I know we don't need to turn on our videos to show our beautiful faces, but it's if you were in the place of Coach Spider a while ago teaching without seeing any faces, that was hard to do. So he gave us energy. Let's give back some energy to him by saying thank you in the chat box. Please go ahead and flood him with some love and gratitude and appreciation. Amazing. Coach
Thank you.
Spider, till next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
Appreciate you.
cheers,
Appreciate
cheers,
everyone.
cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, JM. Thank you, Martin. Okay, how's everybody? I'm always will be asking you to type in the chat box blank because I need to know if you're there. We need to know if you're there. So, but yeah, we're super grateful that you're here. But we also want you to engage and really go for this 100%. So my first question and my only question before I introduce our next speaker, Coach Martin, is that from Coach Spider's session, mini session, what was your biggest takeaway from that? We would all love to know. Please type it in. If your takeaway was what, there's a word like downregulation that exists, that could be. What is your biggest takeaway from that 10-minute mini session of Coach Spider? Go ahead, please put it in the chat box. And we so gratefully appreciate you engaging with us. Thanks as well, Coach Spider. Anyone? Your greatest takeaway? Alam ko na yung nangyari. Coach Spider, pinatulog mo na sila. So tulog na sila sa upuan nila kaya sila hindi na sila nagcha-chat, which is totally fine. That's the point. Oh, Coach Martin, sige. Biggest takeaway from Coach Spider: being grounded and experiencing a process to clear and relax, coming from a person who experiences anxiety. Wow. First of all, Coach Martin, thank you uh for being vulnerable enough and honest enough to let us know about your experiences with anxiety. And thank you for your message on being grounded. Yes, down regulation is indeed very important because our nervous system does not lie. That is one big note that you all need to remember. Your nervous system does not lie. If it goes on to fight or flight mode, it's trying to protect you. If it goes on relaxed rest and digest mode, it's trying to surrender, or it already has. So in this way, now that we know that this is our nervous system and that there are tools to upregulate and downregulate our nervous system, let's look at it like this. Let your nervous system be the teacher, be your teacher. Why? You want to learn more about yourself. Why am I angry when this happens? When I receive this information, when I experience this thing, why do I why do I feel safe with this person? That is your nervous system giving you signals. So your job is now to be the manager of your own mind and body and question these, just as you want to question your ego. Just like the thoughts of, hey, this guy's an ass, or this guy just insulted me, this person, or I don't feel comfortable with how this person is talking to me. That is your nervous system trying to protect you. That is your mind trying to protect you. And then question that. Why do I feel that way? Is there a particular word? Is there where is this coming from? From me first. So that is every time you stay present with yourself and take note of these things, these signals that your nervous system gives you, it is an opportunity to learn about yourself. And maybe from there, you can make change already as you make that choice. Thank you. Coach Spider, once again, please send him some thanks in the chat box. I will now introduce you to our second coach. Please welcome, and that's again, wait lang. This person, because I remember my first ice bath experience with Oka. Teachers were there. Teacher Nas was there. Teacher Pam. Teacher Mark. Coach Martin. Coach Martin, when I first saw him, he was the guy leading the people after the ice bath. So he was leading the movement like that, swinging your arms and then doing some movement just to regulate after an ice bath experience. And most of the people there in that experience, it was their first time doing ice bath. And so it was my first time in that experience. It was my first time as well to do it in the steel tub and with a lot more ice. I was doing ice bath before, but I didn't know it could get even colder like that. So I would treat that as a first time experience as well. And Coach Martin really directed me. I was really putting myself, my whole trust in this person. Okay, if you do this, I'm gonna do this as well. Because my body was shaking. I was super in fight or flight mode. I've been doing breathwork for a while and I've been teaching it, but at the same time, the shock of the cold and colder was still there. And I was experiencing a shiver that I haven't experienced before. So that trust that kind of imprinted in me, in my head at least. Coach Martin, you're hearing this for the first time, but yeah, it kind of imprinted in me how Coach Martin was just my guy for movement after after ice bath. So please welcome Coach Martin, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and staying. Coach Martin, where are you at?
All right, I'm here. I'm here, Coach Reef.
Woohoo! Okay, thank you so much.
All right. So yeah, you can just adjust the view.
Yeah,
Uh,
of course.
right. While Coach Reef is doing that, I just want to welcome everyone. Um, Chino, Miss Bernadette, JM, Miss Kate, Miss Jane, Sir Alfred, Teacher Marissa, Naz, with the DM, Miss Rosalind, Miss Martine, cool name, and Pam, of course. So I'm giving myself a timer here. I'm just starting, so I'll make this quick, you guys. So Coach Reef, let me know if you have any intro, or I can just dive right in.
Please, Coach Martin, dive right in. Let's go.
All right, game. So guys, I'm gonna make this one real quick. Maybe some of you have seen me from some videos before, like 3 years. So I created Real Talk Lifeline. So if you hear Martin from the Philippines, we're here in Real Talk Lifeline. That's me. My mission is to help people get through the hardest parts of their life, and we go through it together. So this is my intention. So very quick background. I'll be leaving you guys with two tools that you could use after this webinar. So a quick backstory on who I am. Back in 2014, I was in a 9-year relationship. I was also doing my first job, corporate. I did 3 years there. Um, and then I was burning out. So I was around 27 years old that time. And then, long story short, at my worst, my girlfriend that time moved on. So I had no idea what mental health, emotional health, anxiety, depression, all this was. I ended up resigning from my job, and then I actually didn't work for half a year from May to November. So I started doing work again as a life insurance agent in November 18, 2014. I'm gonna be going on 10 years actually, in 2 days. So that's my background, financial, insurance, investments, like that. So I did perform in my first few years, 2015. I did this thing called $1 million Round Table in 2016. So you're part of the top 2%, you're earning about 1 million pesos in income. I did that in 2017, 2018. So 3 years in a row. It came to a point where they kept saying double production, 40% growth, uh, more pressure. So it was coming to a point where I wanted to jump off a building in Makati, and I took a quantum leap. So not that kind, guys. I started investing in seminars, my own personal development. And the first mentor I that really hit me was T. Harv Eker. I'll be sharing some tools also, by the way, from him that helped me a lot. So from personal development, I did Tony Robbins in 2020. I was trying to heal my depression. I also did ayahuasca in 2021. I did Kambo as seeking alternative methods of healing. November 2021, I reconnect with Mark. So you're going to meet Coach Mark in a bit after this. And I call him my ice bath teacher. Some of you know him, of course, as a yogi. Like he's a certified yoga teacher trainer, and more, so much more than that, pranayama, his deeper breathwork teaching actually. So I love Mark. He taught me a tool through the cold immersion therapy or the ice baths, uh, one valuable method on how to heal over the past 3 years already. So what I will do is I will share some of the modalities that help me heal. And one is very quick because I just want to keep this to a few minutes and give time for Mark. I'm going to show you something. Let me know if you can adjust the speaker view if you can see this one a little bigger. Right now, I think it's on gallery view. So this is a model. I could see you, Kick. So good to see you. All right. So what you can see over here is a model, a tool I learned from my mentor, T. Harv Eker. So what does this mean? TFAR. It means our thoughts lead to our feelings lead to our actions, and then our actions end up becoming our results. So they call this tool or this model the process of manifestation. Now, I'm a practical type of guy. So, what's another way of saying this? This is how to create our reality. Why? T. Harv Eker says this line: our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So, what does that mean? Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. Our thoughts, our feelings. So, this is our mental, our emotional. Some of you can even go deeper down to the spiritual. So, our physical reality is just a printout, it's just an output of our inner world. So, our thoughts, our feelings, our spirit. So, how do we change this though? I'll keep this very short. How do we change this? So, I'm going to add a letter over here. I'm going to write this down with my marker. You could add this to your notes. So, I'm going to add one new letter over here. It's the letter. There you go. So, letter P. So, what does P stand for? P is our programming. So programming leads to our thoughts, leads to our feelings, leads to our actions, and it ends up showing up in our life as our results. What is an example of programming? So T. Harv Eker also calls this a blueprint. Some of you might call this beliefs, your core values, your deep identity level change, like that, self-image, etc. Many terms, but to keep it simple, let's just call it our programming. Now, to end my part, my sharing, because I'm almost going on 5 or 10 minutes already here, what's an example of programming that we can do? I'll share with you an actual example. So I first did this in 2016, and I will share over here my screen. This is called a vision board. So some people, you might have heard this from people who do this, like Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey, Tony Robbins, maybe some of your mentors or coaches. So this is my actual dream board this year. I started in 2016. And the point of this sharing is not that you copy it, but you make your own, right? So I'll relate it to programming also, and it will lead to your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your results. So for me, uh, up front over here in the center, that's the core for me. I actually put my mission. This was dedicated to healing myself, my depression, um, what I was going through in life. Long story short, from 2014, good news is I finally got closure 10 years later. So if you ever do connect with us, with Coach Spider, Coach Mark, and myself, I'd be happy to share that in more detail. Again, my mission, why I created Real Talk Lifeline and why I'm collaborating with Coach Reef, Coach Spider, and Coach Mark, it's because it's to help people not give up on life. One bonus tip I'll share on this, because I took an actual course on how to find your mission or purpose in life. It has to heal at least one person. And maybe you got the hint already why I'm doing this. So there is a money goal here as well. I actually put this in the bottom. So people who can relate, like money is one of the lower priorities. I do realize that in life, it is a reality as well. Money is not the most important thing in the world, but it is up there with oxygen. So that's a quote from one of my mentors. Because once you can't breathe, you're gonna go for it. A quick sharing on this dream board. When I started this in 2016, it looked like a letter T. For work, I added this lower left one, the $1 million round table, and I actually achieved it later on. December 19, 2016 was the very first time I achieved it. So why am I sharing that? Some of your vision, some of your dreams actually will come true. Not all of them yet at the time. As you see, I do not have three women in my life. Um, I hope you guys get my humor, but I will wrap up with this, okay? So why make a dream board? This is my history. I was asked to make a dream board back in 2015. And when my manager at work asked me to do that, I was just in compliance mode. But my answer to my manager was, I said this internally, quietly, I don't have any dreams. And it hit me hard. So why make a dream board or why make a vision board? So I'm gonna quote a line from the Bible. I'm not that religious, but this one hit me really hard why I'm sharing this. The line is, a man without a vision will perish. Now, some of you will say, Martin, but you're still alive, right? Those who get it, you can comment in the chat, hashtag relate. If at any point in your life you felt dead internally already, didn't have a vision, felt lost in life, went through a dark night of the soul, maybe you felt you were in a place a little lower than death, right? For those who can relate. So I'll end with this. Why test out and make your own vision board? Make your own version, by the way. And I updated this over the years, by the way. You can add, you can edit. So why have a vision board? I'll quote Steve Harvey over here. Um, he said this, you got to have a vision board and it's got to be written down. In fact, I did it through pictures, not just words, right? You know why? Because that's a scripture too. It says, write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, that means takes a long time, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. So thank you guys. That's actually the end of my sharing. That's the second tool I shared. So those in the chat, if you were taking notes, the first tool was the process of manifestation, programming, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. The second tool you could take away today is you could try to make your own vision board. Some of you write it down, make it more powerful. You can even put it in pictures, right, in a visual. So thank you. Before I turn you over to our last speaker, Coach
Yes.
Mark,
Thank you
Coach
so
Reef.
much. Coach Martin, thank you so much. Grabe. A lot of people actually me as well. I thought this TFAR, the thoughts, feelings, actions, results, was stupid. I thought
Yeah, yeah, the
at
first
first
time.
kasi parang hindi ba to parang hindi na ako grade school. I mean, parang come on, man.
Get.
Like I don't but of course in terms of shadow work, and that's why I guess we're all in the wellness space now, is because these basic things are actually fundamental things that either dictate if you're gonna save your own life or not.
Yeah. Can I add
Please,
something
yeah,
super
go.
quick, Coach Reef,
Go, 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 go.
before we finish this with Coach Mark, right? If you want to practice the TFAR, you can check out my profile. because I do gratitude journaling. I count my blessings every day. So I'll explain for people who don't get it. My
Please.
default thoughts are very negative. And if I didn't count my blessings every day, I would probably kill myself. That's how heavy, that's how dark my automatic thoughts are. So if you want to practice it, what do you mean change the programming, change the habit, change that? It takes a lot of effort for me. So what's the end result, right? My thoughts change. I actually feel lighter. I feel gratitude. I feel love. The end result is I'm still alive, like what Coach Reef just said. It also gives me energy to enter the ice bath. Coach Mark, he knows how hard it is for me to get in one. So, yeah, you will actually feel the result, the difference. Anyone in depression who's gone through it heavy, can't even get out of bed, versus changing their reality, their thoughts, their feelings, their actions, results. That's one way of actually applying it, as Coach Reef just mentioned.
Thank you. Grabe, Coach Martin. Guys, if you're I hope you're taking notes. What Coach Martin just shared with you is actually what people pay, like magkano ba yung MMI? People pay like
I
15,000
paid
for
like,
that.
yeah, I paid like 12,500, I
These
guess.
these kinds of tools. Um just to just to flow through, um thank you once again, Coach Martin. Guys, if you are appreciating what you're learning today with Coach Martin, Coach Spider, there's another person who I hope you stay for with. I very much look up to this person. But before that, I think we just want to invite you to what we're preparing for. We're doing this webinar because we found a very big problem, that there is a kind of very silent pandemic, a silent pandemic within the masculine energy, within the masculine space, within men. And the problem is, it's things like this, the space that we are trying to create. Me, Coach Martin, Teacher Mark, Coach Spider. This is not something men were taught. We learned about toxic masculinity and these terms even before we started learning about, or even first heard the word true masculinity or healthy masculinity. We were never taught these tools and these things. And that's why we wanted to invite you and and ask for you to invite the people who you think would give would find value in this. Is that we are having a retreat called Sagara Sons, a brotherhood, where we teach these tools that you've learned from Coach Spider and Coach Martin, and more, digging deep down with full activities, really immersing yourself in the tool and feeling changes immediately, and the same changes lasting longer, making you like you enter hungry, and you enter as a father, you enter as a brother, and then you exit and come home better blank, better fathers, better brothers, better sons, better employees, better leaders, better students, and all of that. So this is what we wanted to invite you in. Sagara Suns happening December 14 and 15. And the price is over here. The details are over here. We will also give you more details later. We have a Q&A session, very quick. But of course, we want to listen to our last speaker, which is Teacher Mark. And please stay tuned, because the people who are here, we're going to give you an ultimate offer. And it's kind of ridiculous. The price you see here, oh my gosh, I know it looks high, but that is our cost. But if you stay tuned, after Coach Mark will give you an astounding offer. So to introduce our next speaker right now, Teacher Mark. Finding, after having found Breathwork Philippines, I immediately was recommended by a friend, Mosh. the one heading Soul Speak, who has been doing a lot of retreats, and I look up to Mosh so much and has recommended me, like, say, hey, you need to meet Mark, because Mark is is someone who is just like you, who wants more and more people to be heart centered, to be aware of these things that are happening internally within themselves, and so to make their external realities even better. And they do that by working on themselves so much, by loving themselves so much, that it just is so natural to share it to other people and not feel overwhelmed about it, because you're coming from overflow. And teacher Mark is a very great example for it, of that person in my life. So without further ado, guys, please welcome teacher Mark. Coach Martin, thank you so much again. Coach Mark, how are you?
Thank you for the beautiful introduction, my brother. I'm so
Of
glad to be
course.
here. Just wanted to say thank you to our participants today for coming in, tuning in. It means the world to us. Um, this is actually our first Sagara webinar, and without Breathwork Philippines and Coach Reef, none of this will happen. The honest thing is that we have been experiencing some challenges to create this space that we're trying to do, and Reef has been amazing. So appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate
Thank
you
you for
too. Thank you.
helping us. Yeah. Also wanted to say thank you to Spider and Martin. You of course, always awesome and always amazing, very, very insightful. And thank you for equipping us with many of these techniques, Spider. And for you, Martin, as always, man, love you. Yeah, I love you and your work. Thank you for your sharings. I'll get straight right into it. So for those people who don't know me, there are a few here. I'm gonna share my screen for a quick introduction. I prepared a little bit something today kasi uh, I just want to confirm if you can share my screen, if you can see it, everybody. It's all good. Coach Reef, is it working? Working. Okay, so I'll get right to it. My name is Magic Mark. Who is Magic Mark? That's what people call me. Uh, why? So that's actually me popping a balloon on top of a person's head. Uh, Before I became a yoga teacher, mindfulness coach, cold immersion therapist, I've been doing magic shows around the world for the last 13 years of my life. So I'm a world traveler. I've been to 48 different countries doing this. I'm a street performer. Street performing or busking, which comes from the Latin word buscare, which means to search for, is doing your art, whether it be music, magic, or circus in different street corners around the world. So I've been doing that for 13 years. I'm a magician, I'm an illusionist, and in 2019, I I lost all of that and I transitioned to become a yoga teacher and mindfulness coach for my own well-being and for my own to battle my own anxieties from losing my identity in my job because um, this is how it used to be. So in the Philippines, this is part of my job. I was doing magic shows for celebrities in different clubs and restaurants, bars in the metro. So if you can see, that's Julia Barreto there, and Bill Alonso, Apple the app. We're doing magic shows in Gramercy and many different kinds of bars back in the day. As a resident magician also for Remington Hotel and New World Hotel and the casino there in Resorts World. Um, my experience included my first love was street performing. So when I'm not here in the Philippines working as a magician, I'd be traveling around the world in different places, and I'm blessed to perform for many around the world. So a little bit of an example here is on the top right. That's in Lublin, in in Poland, and on the up left that is in Rotterdam, and on the bottom right that's in Toronto in Canada, doing magic shows there by the harbor. I would always joke around because now I'm wearing an eye patch because I have lost my eye. That people always ask me in that harbor where I come from, and I say I come from the pirate ship behind them. We're there. What am I here to share with you in this webinar? Um, my sharing is about adversity and dealing with it. So, what is adversity? These are difficulties, misfortunes, pain, and suffering or challenges. It is a fear of uncertainty or unknown barriers. The obstacles that we face can be emotional, physical, financial, or social, and it always tests a person's resilience and ability to cope. I put here a little quote. Understanding and recognizing adversity is the first step to overcome it and turn stressful situations into opportunities for growth and healing. Very important to recognize. And this is my biggest adversity and my sharing for this webinar. Real life example. So my story, if you can see, I don't have an eye anymore. There is a void missing, and people might think that has this happened to you when you were a kid or something? It didn't happen like that. In September 9, 2016, I was viciously assaulted, blinded, and left for dead. So over here on the left side, you can see this. This is a picture of me being rushed into the hospital after I got attacked. So what had happened was a 16-year-old kid from Dublin, um, along with five of his other friends, stole my amplifier while I was doing shows in Dublin, in Ireland. And to cut the long story short, it ended up with um, these six kids jumping me and two of my other friends. So two came from behind, from the front, two came from behind, and one of them had a bottle. This guy, Luke Byrne, and he smashed a bottle on my face. That made it start to look like this. I don't know if you can actually see my arrow here. As you can see, there was I don't look very well there. Everything was injured. Even my left eye um, was injured there. You can see that there's a scratch right over here in my face. So if it were just a couple of millimeters to the right of that, I could have been totally blinded and completely blinded, and I wouldn't be able to see today. So I went through this. It was a traumatic experience. I spent 11 days in a hospital. In the hospital, on the third day, they told me that I was never gonna be able to see again. And what had happened there was that led me into these things. So all of these, they have we can talk about them in other webinars and other topics, but it actually shapes the work that me, Martin, and Spiderweb have been working on now, and this sharing is also shaped by that. So, 11 days in the hospital. On the third day, they told me I was never going to be able to see again. This brought about depression, stress, resentments, regrets, ruminations, worry, anxiety. Like learned this term from Martin. He calls this bags: blame, anger, guilt, and shame. These are the issues that weigh us down from being able to live our best life. So I was full of that, and I didn't know what to do. The aftermath of my assault, I had a negative self-image. If I were okay looking before, now I had a negative self-image because I had no eye and many, many scars in my face. I felt unmotivated and unfulfilled. If before that I was um, if before that I was living my dream, traveling around the world, doing my passion, now it felt like I wasn't able to do it anymore, that I felt weak, fatigued, mentally drained. I was living in fear and lack, and I had a lot of negative thinking, feeling like life isn't fair. I started to think about how did I deserve this or how did I get here? I remember looking at myself in the mirror and my eye was atrophying. I had 11 stitches in my right eye at the time and it was becoming smaller and smaller. And I remember thinking, how did I get here? Did I deserve this to happen to me? Um, what's going on with my life like now? How unfair is that? All I've been doing in my life is to follow my passions and make people laugh and smile using my job. But here I am, left for dead and so weak at the time. Of course, I had to deal with feelings of grief and loss because the loss of an eye is just like a loss of a hand or a finger or whatever. I had thoughts of death and suicide. I remember thinking that, well, I remember thinking that I would rather be dead than to live my life as less of myself or as an incomplete version of myself because I had many limitations all of a sudden. First, I was dealing with the trauma and the shock as if I had two eyes, then all of a sudden the next day I had one. I suffered constantly from many migraines. It was very difficult for me to kind of move on from that and rehabilitate that. And some of the limitations are scope of vision and depth perception. I have none because depth perception is binocular function. I started thinking like I won't be able to do magic or sports or date people, date women because they wouldn't even like me. I thought that it wouldn't be possible to work again as a magician because I couldn't even catch anything. I couldn't see in 3D. I was so weak. I also thought that it would be easier to end up dead than to live in fear the rest of my life, the fear that I had felt when I was being rushed to the hospital at the time. I became withdrawn because of this. I didn't like to talk about the assault. I didn't like to talk about my feelings because every time that I had to think about it, then I had to kind of relive it again. And also because of all this, I was being overwhelmed and reactive. So I had many frustrations in my heart and I just wasn't feeling well. And of course, I don't want I'm the kind of person who would avoid another person if I don't feel okay in myself. Um, which brings us to our topic today, where to start, how to heal. You can see my picture there, really messed up, really left for dead. You can see a little bit more how I had looked and all this different scarrings in my face and how to turn that person there who got attacked, like that was like 2 days after I got to the hospital, to this person here who's smiling, enjoying the ice bath in discomfort, and this person who's wearing an eye patch and doing magic shows again all around the world. The good news is if I had feelings of I had thoughts of death and suicide back in the day and a big depression. The good news is that there is hope that I don't feel that way anymore. Okay. And and it became my new passion, not just to spread happiness and make people laugh and smile like I was doing in my magic shows. My new passion in my life is to share these practices, to share to be there for people who are going through very difficult situations and to help the world and to help my friends and my family above all in this way. These this seminar, this webinar has been um, an avenue to share these practices. So of course, I'm in this project 100%, and I really believe in the teachers that that I am with at the moment. that helped me get this space. So first, the importance of building your toolkit. So very important that life is hard. There's going to be adversities that happen, right? So what we have to do is to build a toolkit as if we are preparing for war, or as if like if you like Batman, like his utility belt, right? So in every difficult situation, he has a different tool to 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 use in the situation. If you like, or we could also liken it as we are warriors, and it's as if we are bringing gears and weapons and armor to the fight or to the war. So building your toolkit becomes a um, necessary step to being able to battle the adversities in your life. I'd like to focus first on this or spiritual practices that I've used for myself. Now, very important to note that these practices that I put here are the practices that we share on to others that I use myself. My teacher always said that you can't teach something that you don't have. So these are things that I implemented for my own healing and for my own health and wellness, so that I can really share it with you guys. So first and foremost, I'd also like to clear that you might not resonate to some of them or all of them. That's why there's a lot there that you might resonate with, so that you can ask me, Coach Reef, Coach Spider, or Coach Martin for help, or if you're interested in it, you can come to some of our retreats and trainings. So the first one is spiritual practice. Building my own spiritual practice, it took time. Um, Prayer, learning how to pray, meditation, being in the meditation state, practicing to be in a meditation state, to be okay in spite of your feelings, and how to observe your feelings, your thoughts, and your emotions. Breath work has also been a huge tool in my life. Thank you so much, Spider, for bringing us through a breathwork session a while ago. And gratitude practice, I practice every day the feeling of gratitude in my heart. How to do this? You can learn from Martin. He does some gratitude journaling or a gratitude meditation. And most importantly, mindfulness. So, what is mindfulness? It's yogic awareness, being aware of what is going on inside us. So, recognition and recognizing that we might have somewhere to heal, or we have an issue or a problem, is the first step to becoming to healing it or to addressing it. In the life coaching space, it says name it to tame it. So if you don't even know that it's there, then how can we make it better? How can we make it grow? How can we cultivate it? How can we heal it? So a few recognitions and awareness and mindfulness that have really helped me throughout my journey and my challenges is, one is from Dr. Phil Stutz, which is the three aspects of reality. He says that there are three aspects of reality, meaning that reality cannot exist without them, and it doesn't matter who you are, or it doesn't matter who I am, or the difference between us, or your age, your gender. These three things are going to be constantly in our lives. So, number one is pain. There's always going to be pain. There's always going to be uncertainty. Nobody knows what's happening in the future. And there's always going to be constant work. Now, let that sink in for just a little while. So, we can talk about the constant work that's needed to address the pain and the uncertainty of life. So, the next uh, the next awareness and mindfulness is to recognize the importance of training resilience. So we already know that there's going to be pain and there's going to be uncertainty. So the hard work relies on having and cultivating that resilience. What is resilience? The synonyms of resilience are toughness and grit. Is the ability to withstand pressures, pain, challenges, and changes that life brings. Now, this is this quote over here. We cannot train toughness in a comfortable environment. This is very important because all of a sudden, the picture here on the right, that's me taking an ice bath, coming out of an ice bath, starts to make sense. Now, a lot of you are students, so who have gone through our sessions, and you understand already why we go into the ice baths. But there's a few people there in the room that I've never met, so maybe you've never taken an ice bath before, and it looks like usually the conditioning in this life is he must be crazy. Why is he doing that to himself? Is that torture? Something like that. Okay. Now, if I'm gonna go back here again to this line, that we cannot train toughness in a comfortable environment. If you're gonna be tough, then you have to go into some uncomfortable discomfort state to train it. And then this one is from Tony Robbins. He says that these are spiritual muscles. So willpower, resilience, courage. If it's not used and utilized, then you lose it. Just like muscles. The muscles, when we try to go to the gym, think Spider would attest. What you do is you put it in a tough say like resistant state. The muscle tears, and when it heals bigger. It's the same with these spiritual muscles of resilience, of courage, of willpower. Is that when you constantly use it and put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, just like the ice bath or a hard workout, then your capacity for this resilience and toughness starts to grow. And last but not least, this insight from T. Harv Eker, this quote: if you are willing to do only what's easy, then your life will be hard. But if you're willing to do what is hard, then your life will be easy. And I think there's many, many truths to that. The next one is the next piece of recognition and awareness is to recognize that there are two sufferings in life. So this one is from Mr. David Goggins. The two sufferings in life are unchosen suffering and chosen suffering. So what is unchosen suffering? Unchosen suffering is that shit will hit the fan, things happen to us, people will die, heartbreaks will happen in this life. And the only way, he says, that we can actually go through that more efficiently and effectively to train how to handle that situation when it happens is through chosen suffering. So chosen suffering is putting ourselves into challenging situations. Now the ice bath starts to make sense, right? And then the the hard workouts at the gym starts to make sense, because the irony is that you will be more confident about taking on challenges and adversities in your life if you've already gone through an adversity and you made it through the other side. So for me, it's like the thing is, when I lost my eye, that happened in 2016. And at first I thought, I think that's all. That's already so much suffering. I thought that I would never have to suffer like that again. But really, in 2019, 2020, when COVID happened, I lost my job again. COVID happened, and so many things happened as well. I just wanted to share, like 2020 was very difficult. We have a house by the lake, house by the volcano, Taal volcano, and the volcano erupted. My mom got a stroke. Now we're currently dealing with just illnesses and the way that life happens. So it's a constant battle. It's kind of, we're just always facing adversity and challenges in our life. And the only way to be able to accept them and to respond instead of react in those situations is to train yourself to do so. Which brings us to our different somatic practices. So that's the mindfulness part. Now it's the somatic practices. What does somatic practice mean? Somatic practice, it means practices that bring our mind into our body. So most of the times we are in our feelings, our thoughts. When we react to things, we are always in our mind, logifying things, um, overanalyzing, overthinking. So what helped me so much is to be aware that I need to be more in my body rather than in my mind. So I can stop overthinking. How to do that? That's where cold immersion therapy starts to come in. You can see it here at the down left here. And the down left, you can see there our guest KMC roof deck hang. We're these women are putting themselves into the ice bath. When you go into the ice bath, um, it's freaking cold in there, so there's nothing else that you can think about. So if you're thinking about breakups, conflicts, problems, timelines in your life, all of that goes down the drain because you have to be present and in the moment because it's so cold, and you start to become aware of the breath and you start to tune into the breath. So this is how the cold immersion therapy puts the mind back into the body. The next things that have helped me so much is the practice of movement. So movement through qigong and yoga. So you can see me there doing yoga. Here, this is in these two shots are from Rishikesh in India. So I did a training there, and this one is actually in my house where we hold sessions, yoga sessions. Over there is Martin over there. Okay. Last but not least is the building of a community, support systems, family, and friends, life coaching, talk therapy sessions, and self-help books, which brings us to the support that I have and the support, the family that I've built in our part of. I'm so blessed to have Martin, Spider, and Coach Reef and the other teachers of Sagara to be able to have this space to be myself and to be aligned in the mission to help spread these things. So community building, the importance of community building is what we want to share and what we want to put the light to. So you can see these are our different retreats, workshops, sessions that we do. And these are actually our affiliates, and these are the the companies and different organizations and communities that we are affiliated with. So shout out to Reef's Breathwork.ph, without which this whole webinar and the retreats couldn't happen. And Sagara House of Breath and Ice, these are trainings that we do. We do teacher trainings. So if you're interested in learning the breath work and the cold immersion therapy and how to become teachers in that, then we offer those services too. We have Soul Speak Yoga. We talked a little bit about Teacher Mosh. Thank you, Teacher Mosh, Teacher Marissa, for being great teachers and guiding us. So they do many workshops around the metro. And there's Oka Collective, where I met Coach Reef, where I met Coach Teacher Naz. This is currently being built in BGC, and by around February, we're gonna have the studio set up. So if you need your classes, anything about recovery, if you guys are teachers who would like to help and participate and teach in a BGC based studio, there's Oka Collective. We also work with Holy Fit, which is doing corporate wellness. And if you're a teacher who wants to teach corporate workshops, sessions, please reach out to me. I can hook you up with Holy Fit. And of course, our Om Shanti retreats, which are more underground retreats where we're more experimental. This is where we do our ayahuasca retreats and 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 that sort of stuff. That kind of thing interests you. Lastly, going back to this slide, lifestyle changes. So without lifestyle changes, none of these practices, none of the toolkits work. That's the truth. So sleep, proper nutrition and exercise, and daily practice is what we need for this to be holistic and for this to be effective. So that actually concludes my part of the webinar. I hope that the people out there watching would resonate or would find this useful, this information useful. And this is how I turned my greatest adversity challenge um, into into healing and growth. And as a magician for 13 years, I'm probably the most hopelessly romantic about magic in this life because I actually followed my dream and became a magician. I'm still am. So I couldn't, I would like to share one last thing, which is real alchemy and transmutation, real magic in this world. In life coaching, we call it reframing. What does that mean? It's turning hate into gold, turning stress into healing, making weaknesses your biggest strengths, making sufferings into opportunities for learning and growth, turning fear into empowerment, and turning what is tragic to magic. Now, the biggest example of this is my story, because I realized that if I share it with somebody through the ice baths, through the talks, through these webinars, I realized that if it impacts one person, if it motivates them, inspires them, if it gives them a nice lesson, then already my negative experience, my biggest adversity, my biggest challenge of life becomes a positive one. So that's very important. So what drives me to create these spaces, to work with these amazing individuals, it's because we're turning what was once tragic to something that's magical. So the more that we share, the more the magic happens in my own life. So that's why I'm here, and I think I will stop there. I wanted to say thank you so much, Reef, for moderating this,
Of
and
course.
for also want to thank Martin and Spider for the amazing things that we've shared here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Teacher Mark. Grabe, guys. Sobrang profound ng shinare ni Teacher Mark. Please give him some love, give him some gratitude sa chat box. We're doing this webinar for you guys to share these things of vulnerability and total honesty and total authenticity. Oh my gosh. If you're getting so much value from this, if you're resonating so much from this, please do send us some love. It's a teamwork of these, little team, and we're trying to make a difference in the world. We're trying to make